Hey guys, and welcome back to another war video. This is the Interceptor, and we are taking on GWYNBLEIDD, or GWYN, in the 5th war of Season 15. So going into this war, we are 2-2, and I have 3 deaths on the season. We also have a PSR of 89%, which is just the percentage of fights I go into that I win. So today we are going to go up path 6 with these Blade and Mojo, and then we're in section 2. We're going to go path 8 with Heimdall, Venom, and then Sentinel. They also placed a Doctor Doom boss, and I was assigned to take in Magic and Warlock for this war, but what ended up happening is I don't end up taking the boss, and the reason is because I was just still a little mad about last war and just having all those units wasted, probably 400 units wasted when we didn't even solo the fight anyways because it wasn't me fighting. Well, I'm not saying that's not the reason we soloed, but like even if I had lost and wasted all those units, at least it would have been like something I could have controlled, so I wouldn't have felt as bad as losing all the units. But what I did is I just asked the another guy who was assigned Magic and Warlock to take the boss. He's also taking another fight right before, so he could just do it in the same boosting section and maybe just use big boost instead of small boost for that fight. But there's really nothing, like no specific reason that it should be me taking that fight or the boss. So on the first node here, they were smart, and Blade is a stubborn defender, and this is actually a great node for Blade. And this person, when they were placing their defense, also did a great job of the masteries they placed with. So what I was expecting to do here was go into this fight and hit a few parries to start off, and then just either parry stun, or I could as well use heavies to inflict bleed. But this person actually is not running the mastery willpower, so they're not healing from the debuffs that are on them. So that's just going to be a bit annoying. I was planning to reverse the power gain with that. But this node is also Aggression, Fury, and Strike Back. But there's really nothing to this node. You can just counter his L1 very easily, or his L2 very easily, and that's just the special I prefer to bait out against Blade. You may take a little more block damage, but at least you can counter it, as you can't safely counter his L1. But yeah, we're just baiting out a bunch of L2s. We can Dex and then go right in. So whenever he has Aggression Fury in this fight, I'm just going to hit him a few times, even while he's undestructible, as long as it counters. And right there, I don't know what happened, but I just kind of froze. I'm pretty sure that what I was doing is I was spamming dash back, but as you can see, coming right out of this, I just didn't move at all. And I have no clue why, but luckily when I stood up, I was able to hit that parry. If the controls had just stopped working, I would have died to this fight, which would have been embarrassing. But I genuinely just have no clue what happened there, to be honest. But the fight goes down. I'm at a decent health amount, and luckily I'm bleed immune, so it didn't really matter that I got hit by the L1, other than the little bit of damage I took. Now we're going into the second fight, and this is going to be Mojo, and the nodes on Mojo are Power Focus 1 and Power Alternator. Power Focus 1 actually makes Mojo easier to fight because the L2 is the one that you don't want to bait out against him. Power Alternator is going to come into play in this fight, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to throw off my L2 right before Power Alternator, or at least sometime before. So as you see right here, all I need is one more combo and I'll get to my L2. And I just barely get there and throw off the L2 at the very last second. So I do luckily get to keep my combo, but there I saw that his thing was block a hit, but I decided there was 0 chance he was getting to 5 in this fight. Right there, I'm not actually sure what happened. Here I'm forced to throw a special attack, and I'm just making a bunch of mistakes. I took 7 hits in a row, and you see I'm taking a lot of degen damage. But at the same time, I really don't think there's anything to this fight. I saw use a special attack came up, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold my block, not give him the slightest chance to throw a special attack, because when he actually fails a prompt, he loses 3, so now he has 0 chance to get back to his 5 prompts and get that fury plus the extra degen on me. I was just blanking on words to say there to describe it. But yeah, a very, very poorly fought fight on my end, and I'm fully aware of that. But we won, so I guess not the worst thing in the world. We still have our 6-hour boosts on here, unfortunately, so I do have to waste some extra potions. But it's whatever. I am running a little low on potions, but since this war, I've actually been increasing and like recovering from that, so I guess it's not that bad. So we take Heimdall here on path 8, and there's really nothing to this node. There's richer get richer on this node, so whenever he has the buffs on him, he is going to be gaining the passive power, as well as there being a permanent heal block on me, which is kind of a counter to magic, but as long as you're not running suicide, it's not really a counter. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get rid of that. There's also a node on here where every time he has a buff, I get a weakness. So right here, I'm only hitting for 40% of my normal damage, but as soon as you throw off a special attack, it actually takes away all the weaknesses. So during that special attack, the second hit actually does the normal amount of damage that your champion would do. There's not really anything to this node. The only real reason that the weakness is there is for people to time out if they're not using a champ that you want to use specials on a lot, like Wasp with suicides. But I don't know, there's not really much to that fight, and magic is just a great option. And then also on this node there is richer get richer as well, and there is also the weakness node. So for this fight specifically, I am going to be using my boosts and then an L1 boost. You also notice that according to like what it looks here, I was not using boost for the last fight, but if you check the timer right after I come out of this Venom fight, I actually took it the next day. I went to bed because I knew the person on the other path would not be there to clear in time, and it just honestly didn't really make a lot of sense to clear it at night, because no one that I was holding up was taking either of the first 2 mini bosses, so it didn't make a difference at all. So he does start with the 2 buffs, the armor up and his Venom buff. I honestly just have no clue what it's called, but 10 hits and he is power locked. Richer get richer is no longer working. He did actually get up to his L2 in my 10 hits. That's how significant richer get richer is. But there's not really anything to this fight. Weakness is unfortunately not able to heal me from willpower due to the passive heal block. But we're just hitting intercept after intercept in this fight. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have taken all these blocked hits. But I do not need magic for the rest of the war after this fight, so I could not care less. To be honest, I could win this fight at 1% and I would be equally satisfied. Not equally, obviously, but I just wouldn't really care. So yeah, he gets his power gain back. In 5 hits, he's already at an L1, but all I need is to throw off my L1 here and it's going to kill him. So there we go. Not the best played fight in the world, but I didn't take any hits, so that's alright. Now we'll go up to the Sentinel, and this Sentinel is the main reason that I used my L1 boost. So on this node, there is kinetic transference, and then power from afar. Those are just a bunch of ways for him to get power, and I just wasn't really digging it. So we're going to do a quick 5-hit combo here with the double medium with Medusa and with an L1, and now he is going to be armor shattered, and I believe we actually kill him before this armor shatter expires. So this is barely boosted, and you're seeing just how badly I am destroying him. So we're going in with these light intercepts all the time. Mediums are doing 7,000 damage. Our light attacks are doing 5k. I think it was like 49.73 or something like that. We throw off our L3 here, and this is going to kill him. We just did so much damage. It doesn't. Oh, my bad. But yeah, it's before the second armor shatter even expires. But there you go. He's dead anyways, so it doesn't matter. Very, very easy fight, and that is actually the end of the war for me. I am going to get a little bit of a cleanup, but I don't actually get a fight of my own. So this is 6 hours later. Let me just give a little context to this fight. Oh shoot, I went all the way to the beginning of the war. Let me give a little bit of context. So I took down that fight, and that was my last fight of the war. And then we waited a few hours for everyone to clear their sections. People cleared the mini-boss. And then Jay took a shot at the final boss with magic. I sent him my video to show the cycle. He elected to use the special 1 boost, which is definitely not necessary. But if you never want to deal with Doom special attacks, I am personally about 99.9% confident evading his L1. And even if I take 1 hit, it's more than likely that I have limbo, because he would get it after my 10th hit on my combo. That's when he would get his L1, and at that point I would already have a bar of power, so I would have a 50% chance to have limbo. So even if I took the special to the face, I would in fact heal from it. But what happened is, yeah, he didn't take a video, but he got so incredibly close to the solo, and then he tagged me to clean up. I was watching, like I was sitting there while he was fighting. He got all but 11k off, and I feel so bad, but I'm going to go in for the cleanup. I'm not going to boost up, because at this point, we had a massive lead over these guys, and it didn't matter if I died. I could die with all 3 champs and it wouldn't matter. But also, in this fight, I am fighting in the car. So I was on the way to a hockey game that I was playing. The first game that my team had since we got back from the Corona break, I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah, you see, we're going to throw an L1 right into his aura here, and I am an idiot. But luckily, since he had the buff up that comes from the node on the final boss, we nullify it, and we were able to kill him with that. So he does go in for the immediate counter on the heavy, but it doesn't matter. Like, we won the fight. Who cares? Not going to say I'm proud of that boss fight, but we were driving around on bumpy road. I was trying my best to play. In hindsight, I could have waited the 3 minutes and gotten to my destination and then done it then, but I just thought, why not? Let's do the fight in the car. So we ended up winning that fight, just barely, but that's going to be it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Also, after this war, we are 3-2 on the season, so after these 2 horrible matchups against New Nation and NY, we've gotten a little bit of a recovery. We've won our last 2 wars. We now have 3 deaths on the season, so that is now 2 wars? No, actually just last war, this war that we haven't died. But our average is getting a lot closer to what I want it to be for the end of the season. Also, our PSR has increased from 89% to 91%, now being 31 out of 34. But that's going to be it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next war video.